What's up, Team KBA, One Tech Traveler here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Now, I honestly cannot remember when I was this excited to talk about absolutely nothing. Literally, we're going to talk about nothing. Not the nothing you're thinking of, though. The Nothing Phone 2. For sure, it's an attractive piece of tech. And this is the second generation following up from Nothing's Phone 1 debut last year. They've added more LED lights on the rear for the Glyph interface, improved Nothing OS version 2, meaningful specification upgrades, even rubs elbows and shoulders with some flagship devices. It does mean it sits alongside the Nothing Phone 1, more of their affordable mid-tier phone, whereas this one is pushing the upper mid category and even into flagship territory. But before we dive into all of the goodness of the Nothing Phone 2, let's bring it back and show you what the unboxing experience looks like. And I've included some of the official accessories, including the Nothing Phone 2 case and the 45-watt power charging brick. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up if you like it throughout the video. And if you have any questions, do let me know. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the Nothing Phone 2 that's released this year in 2023. You'll find the links to everything featured today down below, and you can see my follow-up thoughts and review of the Nothing Phone 2 on my website at onetechtraveler.com. This is the Nothing Phone 2. Let's get started. I'm actually a fan of those flat pack, like book, album size packages. So hopefully going forward, we'll see more of that, or Nothing continues that trend. It just lays everything out in front of you. And yeah, I really like that unboxing experience. Although I prefer Nothing that you don't have it as a tab to rip away the outer packaging, I'd like to leave it all intact. If you do want to pair it and max out the 45 watts of fast charging of the Nothing Phone 2, then you might want to add the Nothing power brick here. Is it all of it? I guess so. This is how we are doing it. Pretty clean though. And here is the brick. This is slick for a power charger. Definitely the first of its kind that I've seen, but matches the transparent display. If you look closely, it's got very nice rounded edges. Sadly, it isn't retractable or foldable, which is what I normally like. Let me see. And just for the top, helps to open up for the UK plug, which is also the same in Malaysia. Just the Nothing logo on that side. Quite compact. It's actually got some heft to it, so I would say this is reasonable considering this is packing 45 watts, and on the top we've just got the single USB-C charge. We've got the Nothing Phone Case 2, or the Nothing Phone 2 case. They are sustainable in their packaging and also the way of how they've actually manufactured the Nothing Phone 2. Quick look at this before we put the phone inside. It's got nice rounded edges. We've got all the cutouts for the main areas, such as the speakers, the USB-C port, the microphone, the 2 volume rocker controls, and the power button on the right side. And of course, the additional cutouts for the dual cameras and the sensors. The sides are a bit more flexible. And then also towards the lip section, it's kind of concaved. I actually like this sort of flat pack and very thin design, like a book or an album. This feels like a collector's edition album. They've got this tab here, and yeah, I'm a little bit gutted. This is literally a one-time thing. So once it's done, it is done. This might still be salvageable. I don't feel so bad now, but you might not be able to see it. It's kind of like Braille. It's etched or dimpled into this paper bag. Wow. Let's check this one out. Designed by Nothing. Let's see, we'll get the usual warranty information. Missed the trick with a pair of stickers. Well, And we've got a SIM card ejector tool, small pin, a coiled up USB-C to USB-C cable. And this also looks really nice. If you look closely, you can see the ends of the USB-C cable. They also have that transparent design. Okay, Earth first. Phone 2 has 53 parts made with sustainable materials, strong adhesive. And here we have it. Ooh. Feels great, looks great. And of course, the back. Look at that. Thing of beauty. This is like a work of art and a refreshing change. It's not the first to do transparent designs across different devices, but this is a very clean look and transparent look into the rear bits that go into the phone. Spun all the spiral details closer up. Got the LEDs, the 2 cameras, a nice contrast to this all-white body. The back and the front are Gorilla Glass, and we've got 2.5D, so it's got some curvature to the edges, rounded corners, which I am a fan of. I do like angular phones, but this helps it feel really nice in the hand. It doesn't dig into your palm. The USB-C port with the 45 watts. Got dual speakers, but the main cutout is on the right side of the USB port when you face it. The front itself, the glass is flat. There's no curvature on the side, so this is just a pure flat glass panel, but on the back it is curved. Press that in. Gonna be a nice snug fit. There we go. Clicks in place, really protecting it right down to the edges. It has some pre-applied film on there, so you don't have to worry in terms of scratches as soon as you get it out of the box. Finally boot it up. Hopefully there's some juice. If there is not, oh, felt a vibration. Nothing. Powered by Android. The Nothing Phone 1, which the company debuted last year, that one was pretty much a mid-priced device and specs and performance. They've done a lot of big spec upgrades on this. Tap the big red button. Connect to the mobile network if you have a SIM card. And it tells you to lift and place your thumb in a different side. To go home, swipe up from the bottom of the screen. Switch app, swipe up from the bottom, hold and release. There we go. Nothing OS 2.0. Nothing more, nothing less. Access Essentials, the easy way with new widgets, themes, and folder layouts. Meet the Glyph interface, a new way to interact with your phone. Call recognition. Unique Glyph patterns indicate who is calling. Essential notifications, set certain notifications to be delivered with a persistent glyph. Never miss what's important to you. Glyph timer, keep track of time at a glance. Choose your visual style. Nothing or default Android. Of course, let's go with nothing. Finish setup. Playing the home screen and boom. I like all these additional details, and especially with the nothing widgets, got a really nice selection to choose from, and I'm going to be personalizing that in all the different ways we can resize them. Let's go to the camera. Just an early view. So we have the 2 cameras and the 2x digital zoom, consistent through the typography, the fonts, and just a very clean look. We can toggle between dark mode and light mode. I would probably stick to this because I'm going for an all-white aesthetic. Let's see, we can set the torch. So the torch is just up there. Pretty bright. We've got a Glyph timer. Flip to start. Pretty cool unboxing of the Nothing Phone 2. And you can see the Glyph LED lights just adding as a nice diffusion. Quickly touching on specs. This has a 6.7-inch OLED LTPO display. It's Full HD Plus resolution and has an adaptive refresh rate of up to 120 Hz and as low as 1 Hz for smooth buttery motion, but also power efficiency. There's an 8GB with 256GB of storage. There's a bigger 12GB of RAM for the same 256 of storage, and there's the 12GB RAM with double 512GB of storage. Like the Nothing Phone 1, it comes in 2 base colors. So we've got the white and there's also a smart graphite. Both of them look really nice in different ways. For me, I've always been a person that kind of wants more white aesthetic and clean look. So I've gone for the white, and the Glyph LED lights are still really bright and stand out from it. So I'm very happy with that. But the graphite, really smart looking. Actually a black border around the screen. So if you find that might be more glaring, then go for the graphite because the side frame blends into that black, whereas the silver frame, it does stand out. This comes with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, so it's last year's flagship CPU processor rather than the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 of this year. Big improvement over the Nothing Phone 1. I think Nothing rated as over 80% improvement in performance, 4,700 milliamp battery, and there's 45 watts max fast charging over the 33 watts of the Nothing Phone 1. So this is going to charge really quick and it's well balanced for fast charging and also prolonged battery over time. There's an under-screen fingerprint sensor, although this sits a lot more down the bottom than where your finger naturally sits. So coming from a phone where it was more towards the middle, it's a little bit extra, but it's also not that bad either. It's pretty responsive so far in my early use. In terms of cameras, we've got a 32 megapixel camera on the front, which is now at the center versus the corner of the Nothing Phone 1. So it's a lot more symmetrical and just more naturally placed from when you're having video calls. And it records Full HD 1080p recording at up to 60 frames per second. We've got a dual cam setup on the back with one 50 megapixel wide lens and a ultra wide lens, 4K 120 frames for slow motion and Full HD up to 240 frames. There is no headphone jack, there is no micro SD card slot, but nowadays they're very far and few between. While you had an early look at the Glyph and how we can use that as a nice fill light, any kind of use like this is actually a nice diffuse lighting, similar to one that I use, but it's on the back of a phone. So there is some utility there. Glyph interface takes that further, and we can attribute certain individual LED lights to trigger notifications for certain app from a certain person. There's a lot of great possibilities that opens up, and I'm really excited to see how Nothing takes that forward in the future. There is a Glyph composer where we can start taking advantage of that, and I'll do in a separate video. That's kind of the Nothing Phone 2 experience in a nutshell. But yeah, with specs out of the way, with the unboxing out of the way, I want to spend the final part talking about who the Nothing Phone 2 may be for. Based on my early thoughts on the specs, the overall experience, and this general playthrough of the Nothing UI and the Glyph, is of course a very unique and niche phone. It's got a specific design language that is very bold, very refreshing, but also very different. And it strays away from the conventional norms of typical designs with an all-metal construction body, and a lot of the differences are usually in the software. This isn't the first sort of like transparent design that I've seen in a device, but Nothing's take on it is really pleasing. Generally, it's just an unfiltered window lens into what the internals look like, but Nothing has spent a considerable time really making the design of the bag aesthetically pleasing, nice to look at, and not just a mashup of all the circuitries, all of the transistors, the boards, the thermal cooling, all of that, the memory bits. It's really nice to look at, and I think they've dressed up the transparent design very nicely. The Glyph LEDs on top of that, while it might not be your day-to-day use, and some people might consider it a gimmick, I think it's just a part of the overall Nothing OS. Just makes it really stand out compared to everyone else, and it's also making a nice statement. I would definitely enjoy and appreciate as it happens, but it's not something that I'm going to heavily rely on or is going to be the focal point of why you'd get a Nothing Phone 2. It's definitely enjoyable, it's very playful, and it's also practical in some instances as well, like a fill light in the dark and you just need that extra lighting. I like how they've really taken advantage of the LED lights, and while I've seen some RGB lighting in other phones, they've done it in for me, a really refined and polished way that just really blends into the overall design. Nothing is really pushing out their approach to hardware design, what they think looks nice, and it's going to create a community of like-minded people who gets that design language. Some people who might warm up to it over time, and some people where it's just not interesting for them, and that's okay. But with what they built here, it's really promising for the future. I think the Nothing Phone 1 established themselves with providing a mid-range smartphone that looks really nice and hits a price tag with good value for performance. The Nothing Phone 2 is an additive on top of the Nothing Phone 1. It's not a substitute, it's not a replacement. That means it moves out of the mid category more towards the upper mid tier, even touching on flagship pricings when you consider the entry points of Samsung's latest S23 series, Apple's iPhone 14. Like, there's not that much difference between them. And then the question just becomes, which one would I go for? And is it worth sort of the price difference of Nothing, who's only been around for 2 years now, versus very established brands of Samsung and Apple? And of course, there's benefits to that. You've got more established after sales and care services for repairs, but that is to be expected. So the ones who are diving into Nothing now, either looking at the Phone 2, because for the price, it not only offers really good performance and touches on some flagship qualities, it's also hitting still a very reasonable and compelling price point for what the Nothing Phone 2 is all about. Granted, if you really do care about specs, you're going to find more powerful devices out there from different brands, but it really depends on what your priorities are. Power and performance is not always the most important to some people. Other people just want a nice looking device and they want a tight-knit user experience. Some people like the minimal nature of Nothing OS, and some people just want the most premium, attractive looking device for the price that they can afford. And either one of them might consider the Nothing Phone 2. So the early adopters, the tech-savvy enthusiasts, and the people who are bought into Nothing's vision now, they're the ones who Nothing are really catering to, the diehard people that really align with what they're trying to build. But over the next couple of years, I would see Nothing becoming a lot more accessible, a lot more approachable. So is the Nothing Phone 2 worth it? Design, it's really appealing. The performance, it touches on some flagship qualities, although it is lacking in some areas. If you like all the different aspects of what make the Nothing Phone 2, then you'll probably find it nice enough to dabble into. But we'll see. Stay tuned for more of my Nothing Phone 2 videos and deep dive into the UI. Keep it locked here and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Give this video a big thumbs up, and you'll find the links to everything featured in today's video down below. Let me know your comments, what you think of this Glyph LED Light Nothing Phone 2. Curious to hear your thoughts. Otherwise, you can find my written thoughts and follow-up review later on my website at onetechtraveler.com. This is the Nothing Phone 2. Thanks a lot for joining me, Team KBA. I'll see you in the next video, but until then, keep being awesome. Peace. Pretty cool.